Hello, in this example, we'll just do a basic PHP example. Let's right click here, new folder. I'll call this 01 lesson. Let's open up Notepad++. Now, for those of you who are new to this, we're using WAMP, and I'm currently in the WAMP directory. I'll paste a simple HTML page here. Okay, let's file, save as. Let's put into the right directory. So in this case, we're using WAMP. I installed it on the C drive. Let's go to the www folder, 01 lesson, and let's call this 01 hello world.html. Okay. Let's save it. Let's start up the web server to make sure we can see this actual page. Okay. Let's wait for this icon to turn green. And there it goes. Let's go to localhost. Okay, so here is our server configuration page. Let's scroll down. There goes our lesson 1 project. Click here on Hello World. There goes our page. So let's change this slightly. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to type in some PHP code, and remember, note to self, PHP will run on the server. It will not run on the client's machine. Okay, so for example, here, let's type in some PHP. So notice here the PHP delimiter is here and here. This will display any data to the actual web page. Let's save it. Let's reload it. And I don't see anything. So two things that you should always try out. Let's view the page source. And there it goes. Now, one of the things is when you're doing PHP, it happens on the server. See, the only thing that the client sees is the output. The mere fact that I can see this delimited code here means that it did not get executed on the server. And the reason for that is that this extension is .html. So the first thing we need to do is to make sure that it ends in the right extension. And let's go back to Notepad++. Let's file, rename, and just name that period PHP now. Click on save. Let's look here on the title. It says hello 01 hello world PHP. Let's click on back, reload this so we get the latest page. Click on that, and there it goes. My first PHP script. If you right click here and view page source, notice that you don't see the actual code that will use to display this information here. So if I go to Notepad++, look at the difference. Okay, here, let's just change it slightly. My first PHP script by David Banner. Save it. Close that. Let's reload. Did I save? Oh, I forgot to save. Let's save. Reload. My first PHP script by David Banner. Let's view the page source. Okay, and there it goes. Now let's just do a couple more things with this. So let's define some variables. So right now here we have a constant. The way you define variables in PHP must begin with a dollar sign. And for example, let's say name. Let's make this next name here Peter Parker. Okay, let's get rid of David Banner here because that was hard-coded. So one of the options that I have is here. I can type in name here. I'll double click here on name. Make sure when you spell this name and this name, they are spelled the exact same way and the same case. PHP is case sensitive. Let's save it. Let's run this example again and refresh it. So look what happened here. By doing the name here with the dollar sign and then putting it here within the quotes, this actually fused the name Peter Parker into this statement. So this is the one way you can start building complex sentences on the server side. And again, note this happens on the server, which means again by the time it gets to the client, all you see is the actual output. So think of this being a projector and it's projecting the output to HTML. Now, the things that you must remember is every time you are working as a web developer, you are wearing many hats. In this case, you have to wear the HTML hat because you're an HTML developer, and also you have to be a PHP developer. So you have to be very careful about that. Let's do another thing here. Let's put age. I think in the comics, Peter Parker was a teenager, so let's say about 18. Okay. And didn't mean to do that. And we're going to say, and his age is, and say $age. Let's save that, reload it, and there it goes. So note here that this is a string, this is a number. I can do calculations with this. So let's say here I was wrong, he's actually 17. Let's minus the 1. And he's 17. So just to make sure you realize that's a number. Let's also talk about the most common errors that I see. If I type in age here, let me double click here with Notepad. Even though Notepad++ highlights everything that has age in it, you still have to be careful because PHP is case sensitive. So let's reload this page, and there it goes. There goes the error. Let's make that a little bit bigger. I'm hitting the Control+ on my keyboard. Notice what it says here. Undefined variable age in the following file on line 13 is undefined. Note, every time you see this, there's a good chance you spelt this variable wrong or it's not consistent. So be careful, be a good detective, and find out what it is. I had either two options. I changed this to lowercase a or I changed this to capital A. So let's make this lowercase a to make it proper. Save it and refresh. Okay, so I hope that made sense. So next step here, let's play around some more. Let's say I wanted to break this line here. Now, your instinct might be because, we've all done C# or JavaScript or some other language. Let's say I wanted to break this line here. Let's do /n here. Let's save it, refresh. Oh, sorry, I think I always get that mixed up. I think it's the other way. And hit reload. Okay, you're saying, wow, the line break didn't happen, or the new line didn't happen. If I view page source, sometimes you do see it. I thought I would see it here, but I didn't. Most of the times you would see a new line break, but I didn't see it here. But the bottom line here is that that's not going to work. If you want to tell HTML to do a line break, basically you have to make sure that you use the language that HTML understands. And that is the BR tag. save it, and reload. And that's the way you do a line break. So you still have to make sure that you understand that you are still coding against HTML, and be very careful when you're doing this. Okay, for that, that's it for the first lesson, and hope to see you again.